And for example, like a lot of service visits are just questions about how to use the car. And
that's just the number one visit.
Yeah.
The number one visit is how to use autopilot. Education there helps.
Like literally, how do I turn it on?
Yes, if you were listening to the earnings call, the last earnings call, the number one reason that customers visit the service centers is to learn how to use autopilot. So I figure, why not make a video how to use autopilot? Autopilot for dummies. No. Autopilot for beginners. So we're gonna do autopilot. You'll get to see how to use autopilot, all that with the help of my beautiful wife. The first time that she's going to help out on camera, she's gonna help show us how to use it for the first time. Have you ever used autopilot?
Never.
How often do you drive the car?
I'd say occasionally.
And you drive it in, she drives it in chill mode. Chill mode. So we're gonna do autopilot. You'll get to see how to use autopilot. So let's get started. Raj, Tesla Raj, or anybody featured in this video or channel takes no responsibility on anything that may happen to you or your vehicle due to the learnings of this video or how you apply them. Please use autopilot responsibly and always be aware of your surroundings. Autopilot is not a fully autonomous solution at this point in time and does require full attention with your hands on the steering wheel. Please drive responsibly. Now, the one thing to understand about autopilot is to understand that autopilot is mainly to be used on freeway. So while you can use it on local roads, it's not recommended. And the way autopilot works is it focuses on the lane markers as well as the curb to identify and keep you in its lane. If you are on a road where there's no lane markings, autopilot will not work. The way to know if autopilot will work or not is on your screen. The way you know that autopilot is available is you will see a steering wheel up here underneath your gears selector choice. So when you see that steering wheel up here, you can use autopilot. Now, that will show up on local roads, like I said, because there are lane markings, but it's not recommended to use it on local roads as of this time of recording this video, mid-2019. Okay, now there's a couple different things that you can do. The first is going to be standard cruise control. Now, standard cruise control is initiated by pressing down on the right stalk one time while driving. When you do that, you'll see that right underneath your miles per hour is your miles per hour, and it'll set max, and you'll see it circled with a blue circle. You can now take your foot off the gas, and your car will maintain that speed. To increase or decrease that speed, you'll scroll up or down on the right stalk, and you'll see your speed go up and go down. With cruise control enabled, you'll see it's speeding up, but when it sees the truck in front of it, as you can see here, the vehicle automatically starts to slow down. And that's cruise control. To disengage cruise control, just click up on the right stalk. It'll go back into normal mode. You'll notice the blue circle disappear, and you have full control on driving again. And that's cruise control. Now, the second thing is autopilot. Now, autopilot today used to be called enhanced autopilot. It's now called full self-driving without the feature of door-to-door fully autonomous driving without human interaction. All of these features today that are enabled do require full concentration, eyes on the road, hand on the steering wheel, ready to take over at any time. So to enable autopilot, you're going to click down 2 times on the right stalk. And you'll notice that the steering wheel that we identified earlier is now blue. Your speed is set. We can increase and decrease the speed again with the right scroll wheel. And what you'll notice is that the road that you're on is highlighted in 2 blue lines. So it's identifying the road by the lane markings like we talked about earlier. And the car is going to keep you in those lane markings, including steering as well. So if the road decides to bend, the car will automatically bend as well. What's most important here is that you must always keep your hands on the steering wheel. The car looks for presence on the steering wheel, and if it doesn't detect the presence on the steering wheel, it will alert you, and if it still doesn't detect it, the car will automatically slow you down and bring you to a stop. for safety. On Model S and X, the autopilot stalk will be found on the left-hand side beneath the turn signal. Pull it towards you twice, it will engage. Push up on it, it will increase the speed. And pull down on it, and it will decrease the speed. Now in this mode, you've also got the option to change lanes. To do that, you'll use the left stalk like you would your blinker. Click it down to initiate you want to change lanes. And without you doing anything, it checks to make sure there's no car in your blind spot and makes the lane change for you. And that's autopilot. Now, autopilot does also work with checking if there's cars in front of you and slowing down as well. Mainly what it does is adds the lane change option. Now, the last feature that we want to talk about is navigate on autopilot. This is a newer feature, and it's an enhanced autopilot even further than what autopilot delivers by allowing the system to automatically make your lane changes for you. To do this, you will need to put in an address in the navigation. So here, we're just going to go ahead and choose a target, and we're going to do that in Fremont. So we'll go to the one on Fremont Boulevard because I know there's a supercharger there. Once you do that and you put that in, you'll see this navigate on autopilot button show up. And now when you press down on the right stalk 2 times, you'll notice that instead of highlighting the lanes as 2 lines, it actually now highlights it as 1. That's to initiate that navigate on autopilot is initiated. Now, you don't need to put both hands on the steering wheel. You can just leave one just so that it feels that weight. But what the system is going to do now is automatically dictate when you need to make lane changes and make them fully autonomously. This mode will also allow you to take exits and will turn off the system as you're taking the exit. So it's one step closer to a fully autonomous vehicle. When in Navigate on Autopilot, it takes into account for traffic in front of you, behind you. If you're in the fast lane, it will move you out of the fast lane to let cars pass. And if it detects slow cars in front of you and a lane next to you that's moving faster, it will make that lane change for you. Again, like I said, with Navigate on Autopilot, it's less for you to have to think about and one step closer to fully autonomously driving the vehicle. If you do not want Navigate on Autopilot, you can simply just press this and it will go back into Autopilot, which will keep you in the lane, and you would initiate the lane changes on your own. If you want it to be one step more, use Navigate on Autopilot to do so. Now, to set your settings for Autopilot, you will go into the menu, and under Autopilot, this is where you can set what you want your cruise follow distance to be. You can also change that using the right scroll wheel. So the right scroll wheel did increase and decrease your speed, but if you click it left or right, it does adjust where you want your cruise distance to be. How many cars away do you want to be from the car in front of you? If you don't want auto steer to be on, you can turn it off. If you don't want to use Navigate on Autopilot, you can turn it on or off. You can customize your Navigate on Autopilot and so forth in here. This will tell you that, hey, anytime I initiate Autopilot, it automatically goes into Navigate on Autopilot. How you want to change the lanes, if you want it to be more aggressive or less aggressive, and so forth. If you want to require lane change confirmation or not. And that just all depends on what feels best for you. And that's Autopilot. So Autopilot is really what Teslas are known for. Most of you have bought Autopilot or are planning to buy Autopilot or full self-driving. To get all of those features today that I showcased, you will need to spring for full self-driving. What that means is that in the future, when the vehicle becomes fully autonomous and can take you from point A to point B without any human interaction, your vehicle will be enabled to do that. Today, this is everything that's enabled, part of full self-driving, but in the future, when it gets approved and so forth, you'll get everything. So, do I recommend full self-driving? Yes, because it comes with a lot of features if you're buying today. Now, what I love most about full self-driving is during traffic time, when you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic. There's no more switching your foot from gas to brake to gas to brake. The car does it automatically all on its own. So it's one less thing to be stressed about when you're driving, when you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. Let the vehicle do the work for you and get home more refreshed and less stressed. It's probably the best thing about full self-driving right now. Now, the one thing I do want to caveat is with autopilot, you do need to be focused on the road. You do need to be aware of your surroundings. Have control of your car, have your hand on the steering wheel, because as smart as autopilot is and as great as the system is, you still cannot control the people around you. If they act dumb or they do something stupid, you need to be aware to take over. Now, there's only a certain amount that autopilot can do, but you should still be aware and handle the car and be able to take over the car in case something should happen. So again, just to summarize, your car has cruise control, it has autopilot, and it has navigate on autopilot. Cruise control, basic cruise control, adaptively making your car go faster and slowing it down according to the car in front of you, and keeping you in your lane. Autopilot adds into that the ability to change lanes, also the ability to auto steer, and then navigate on autopilot. Navigate on autopilot does everything that autopilot does, but it allows the car to intelligently choose when to change the lanes, thus getting you to your destination more efficiently and better. And those are all the autopilot features. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more clear on how to use autopilot, what it does and what its capabilities are. If you have any questions regarding autopilot or something that you may be confused about or want to understand more about, put them down in the comments down below or shoot me an email and I'll gladly help you out. I do want to send a special thank you to Saf and his wife who provided the video showing how to initiate autopilot on Model S and Model X. Can't forget about Model S and X customers. Anyway, follow them. I'll put their link to their handles down below. They're good people.